Hey everyone, Piano Man Chuck here, and what I have with me today is the Kawai ES110. This is their latest addition to the Kawai digital piano family. This is their entry level piano, and it is also the successor to the previous model, the Kawai ES100. It is 7 pounds lighter than the previous model. It is now 26 pounds, which is amazing. Now, Kawai is known for having the best keyboard action in any price range. So this particular price range is under $1,000. Even though this lists for $1,000, you can pick it up pretty much anywhere online or at a brick and mortar store like Guitar Center or Sam Ash or whatever for $729, which is really a steal for everything that this thing offers. It's really amazing. So, you have Roland, you've got Yamaha, you've got Casio. They all offer models like this for under $1,000. But I'm going to show you why I believe this is probably the best thing that you can get in this price range. Now, if you are a pianist, that's what Kawai specializes in. So if you're an entry-level pianist or you're advanced or whatever, this is what you're going to be using, something like this, which is excelling at piano, not only the sounds or the great piano sounds that are offered by that 9-foot huge concert grand, the EX Kawai concert grand. Very powerful. Excellent. You just heard me playing that. But the keyboard action, they put a brand new keyboard action together for this particular model called the RHC, or Responsive Hammer Compact. Now, the previous model, the ES100, had an action called the AHA, which is an advanced hammer action. It's basically very much improved. The responsiveness, the quickness, and everything. In fact, if you look at this illustration over here, you will see that the hammer was moved from the front in the AHA action to the rear in the RHC action. That gives you much more control. It's much faster, much more responsive, feels more like a acoustic piano. And if you look at the graph, you'll see these three curves over here. In the middle is what a typical grand piano graph looks like. On the left is the previous model, the ES100, with the AHA action. That's what that looks like in comparison over there in the blue. And on the right, that's the new responsive hammer action. And that's the closest to the grand piano between those two. Okay, so enough about the action, which, I mean, you really got to try this. It's got a matte finish and all that, but you really got to try this to believe it. It is really unbelievable. And I have other Kawai pianos as well in my personal collection. But this is unbelievable for the under $1,000 price range. Okay, so let me get into some of the physical attributes of this piano. This is pretty much 51.6 inches in length by 11.3 inches in depth and 5.75 inches tall. So it's pretty compact. And since Kawai designs for pianists, this entry-level piano doesn't have things like pitch control or a mod wheel, or modulation wheel. You don't really need it if you're a pianist. So how did they get the Kawai EX Concert Grand in here and give you a great action, and everything weighs 7 pounds less than its predecessor? Unbelievable. How did they do that? Well, let's start going through this. They started eliminating things that you really don't need. So you're going to focus on basically great sound, that great piano sample from the Kawai EX Concert Grand, and a great keyboard action. Everything else is secondary. So what can they remove to make that price drop down to below $1,000? Okay. Over $1,000, which is what all their rest of their pianos are at, or at least for the slab versions, you have a metal body with wood sides. And the wooden side panels, come in finishes and all that stuff. It looks really nice. But the wood and the metal is not really needed in order to have a great action and a great piano sound. So they eliminated that. This whole thing is plastic. So that drops the weight down tremendously. Okay? What else did they get rid of that you don't really need to have a great action and a great sound? Well, in the higher price models, you've got these graphic LCD screens. And in the mid-price models, you've got an LED screen. This one doesn't have any screens at all. It has a minimal amount of buttons and one slider for the volume control. So how do they offer all this stuff with all this control with a virtual technician and all that stuff? How do they do that without having that? Well, it's pretty simple. Technology. These buttons, they're specific, and all of these keys, these 88 keys, also act as switches. So if you want to control something like EQ or reverb, or you want to turn the built-in speakers on or off or whatever, you hold down something like this function button and press a specific key that acts as a specific switch. And if you want to have like reverb for the piano, you would hold down the piano button and hold down the appropriate keys that handle reverb. And you got a couple of reverb types like room, small hall, and concert hall. So you don't really need any more. Now, as you go up the line and spend more money, you have a little bit more control over those things. You go up to the ES8 and you have more control of reverb and EQ. And if you go up to the MP11, where you're spending almost $3,000, you've got that nice graphic LCD screen, but you have almost limitless control of reverb and EQ and all that kind of stuff. So that's the difference. Unlike some other manufacturers that say, okay, we're going to start you out here and it's going to be kind of a basic piano sound, and as you go up the line, we're going to give you better pianos. No, Kawai gives you the same Concert Grand, that EX Concert Grand, that 9-foot powerful EX Concert Grand. They just don't give you as much options to be able to tailor it specifically to what you want it to. But when you're dealing with a piano like this, an entry-level piano, you don't really need to tailor it the way you want it. It's basically, they give you the levels that you already need. You have a couple of different options. That's cool. Now, let me go over the ins and outs over here. Basic ins and outs. You've got the power, of course, that you plug into the AC mains. It goes through a little transformer, so it plugs into here as a 9-volt DC input for power. And you've got the pedal, or damper pedal, and they give you a really cool pedal with this. This is the Kawai F10H. It is a really cool damper pedal. It's professional, looks really good. Unlike some other manufacturers that give you this little switch, doesn't even look like a pedal. But this is really nice because it also has half damper capability, Now, what pianos have half damper capabilities under $1,000? Some do, but most don't. Okay, very nice pedal, very solid. Okay, you've got line outs. You've got the left and right line outs, so you can feed this to your PA or your mixer or your audio input device or whatever. So again, professional there. Or if you're playing with a band, just piano, just use the left channel, not the right, and it summarizes both into mono, and you can feed that into a PA or their mixer or front of house or whatever. MIDI, MIDI in and MIDI out, and that's the standard 5-pin DIN MIDI jacks, which they're now calling legacy jacks, but you can hook this up into any other MIDI device and control that with this. So you can use this as a controller, and it works great, by the way, with Piano Tech as well as some of the other VSTs out there. Now, they don't have the USB jack that most of these new pianos have. So you don't have USB over MIDI, but instead of that, they are now offering Bluetooth. So you have basically MIDI over Bluetooth. And you can use that with a bunch of different apps on your smartphone or your tablet. It works really great, exceptionally well. But if you want to use MIDI to go to your computer, you can get basically some cheap MIDI adapters which go from, or converters, which go from your standard 5-pin DIN MIDI into USB, so you can hook it up to your computer. They range in price from about $8 to $30. Do yourself a favor, don't get the $8 ones, get the $30 ones. They isolate much better, so you don't get interference from other things. Sounds much better. Okay, so again, being for pianists, you don't have that much other sounds built in. You have 8 pianos over here, and you got 5 electric pianos or organs, and you've got 6 other kinds of sounds, which is basically strings and that kind of stuff. And there are demos of that you can hear on some other YouTube channels, but right now, this is more of an explanation of what this is about rather than a demo of what the sounds are like. You can hear that anywhere. All right, so you can do splits and layers just like anything else, but the only thing about the splits is the split point is predetermined. So you don't get to choose your split point, but most people that buy this are going to be using it strictly for piano, nothing else. Piano. And I found most people that buy these other brands that offer, couple hundred different sounds, whatever. They'll play around with the different sounds because it's really cool, and they'll play around with that for a couple of weeks, and maybe they'll play around with it when their friends come over to show them all these things that it can do. But at the end of the day, it's just a digital piano for them. That's what they bought it for. That's what they're going to use it for. Just a digital piano. All right, so that being said, we've already covered the key action here. Polyphony, something really important. Most pianos at this price range, under $1,000, are going to give you 128-note polyphony. This gives you 192-note polyphony, which is really cool. And I know a lot of you watching this video, entry level and all that stuff, probably don't even know what polyphony is. So in a nutshell, polyphony is how many notes that you can play at once before notes start dropping off and being replaced with the newer notes that you're playing. So, polyphony, if I hold down this key, if I play this key, middle C, that's 2 notes of that 192 polyphony right there. And the reason it's 2 is because this is sampled in stereo. So every key, left and right channel, 2. So if I'm playing with all 10 fingers, now I'm using 20 notes of that polyphony, And actually, I can hold more than 5 notes per hand. Let's say 6 per hand, 12. 12-note polyphony right there. But it's stereo, so it's 24. If I hold down the pedal, that's another note of polyphony that's counted off of that total. So now we're up to 25. So let me show you how theoretically. 25 notes right there. I'm holding it. Here's another 25 or 24. So now we're up to 49 and another while those first two are still sounding. So you get how it adds up real quick. And when I do, and I was holding down the sustain pedal for the whole thing, so you're getting a lot of notes happening at the same time. Okay? That all gets subtracted for the 192 note polyphony. All right, now, one thing very important about Kawai as opposed to some of the other manufacturers, and this is a big one. Every single note of these 88 keys is individually sampled. You can't really say that about a lot of the other manufacturers because what they'll do is they'll sample a few of these randomly every 5th note, every 3rd note, whatever, but this is every single note of these 88 keys are individually sampled. That is so cool because you get the truest reproduction that way. Now, in addition, it has some onboard piano lessons over here, which is really cool. And that includes the Bergmuller Etudes and the Alfred Basic Piano. And again, with Bluetooth, you can use this with your applications that run on your smartphone or your tablet. Very cool. The speaker system, it's 7 watts per side for a total of 14. Those speakers are 4.7 inches each. It doesn't really sound like, you'd expect something plastic to sound. It sounds pretty good, but of course your best results are always going to be when you hook this up to a pair of studio monitors. Or if you're using headphones, and it's got a couple of headphone jacks here. So they're 1/4 inch, which is more the professional type of jack, times 2. So you can wear a pair, your piano teacher can wear a pair. You can have piano lessons while everybody else is sleeping. So very cool over there. Okay. Now that RHC action, I have to come back to that because it's so new. This is the only keyboard they offer that in so far. And when I tried this out, I played it for an hour straight to see what it was like. And after the first 10 minutes, I fell in love with it. I just couldn't pull myself away, so I kept playing and playing and playing. It does not cause fatigue or anything like that. And of course, one size doesn't fit all, so they put some velocity settings in there that you can set with this. So if you like light, medium, heavy, whatever, you can choose that. So that's kind of basically what I wanted to get across in this, but 26 pounds. One more thing, and I know I don't like to bring up competitors when I'm reviewing a certain brand, but aside from the ES gigging bag that you can put this in and take this to gigs, or you can just carry it under one arm and carry it to your gig, which is not advisable, but Casio has a soft bag called the Privia Gig Bag, and it's about $50, $60, somewhere around there. It doesn't have wheels or anything. It's basically a way of carrying this with a handle or a shoulder strap. Not really any protection, but it also has compartments in there so that you can put things in there like your pedal or your keyboard rest or your music rest. That's another thing I wanted to get to. This music rest just hooks right in. And you can put anything on here. You can put your smartphone on here. You can put your tablet. So the Bluetooth, it's an ideal platform to hold this. And as far as sheet music, you can hold some pretty big notebooks on here because it's pretty deep. Okay. One more thing. Like I said, in order to save money, and they've cut out the LCDs and LEDs and all that stuff, and they're using these buttons in conjunction with the actual keyboard keys to change parameters on whatever it is you are looking for to change parameters on. That can be a bit much to memorize. You will find that you'll start to memorize things, but they have put a summary. I mean, they've got an explanation of it in their entire manual, but they put a summary in 2 pages. So these 2 pages, it shows you exactly what you're looking for, what you need to hold here, and what you need to press here. So, for example, dual and split mode, sound selections, transpose brilliance, touch, tuning, effect, reverb, damper resonance, voicing, fallback noise, damper noise, temperament, temperament key, metronome tempo. Oh, another thing. Yeah, it has a metronome, but it also has 100 built-in rhythms. How cool is that? I mean, for something that's under $1,000 to offer everything this has, just out of this world. And I know I'm probably missing something, but that's all I can think of right now. The other sounds here, they are phenomenal. And like I said, you can go to other YouTube videos to pick some of these sounds, but let me just go into one thing over here. Electric piano. Church organ, pipe organ, whatever. As you can see, the sounds on this are phenomenal. One more thing. The user manual, unlike some of the other manufacturers, you can understand this. It's written in a basic, understandable way. So, all around, this piano is really something. Now, if I didn't already have a Kawai ES8, which is what I take to my solo piano gigs, I would be taking this because it's really light. It's 26 pounds. It's got a great keyboard action, and it's got great pianos. So, what else can I say? Get to your local dealer and try one of these. You will be very, very impressed. Piano Man Chuck, peace out. Thanks for watching.